So Wellington is a place where community thrives. People are friendly. They're willing to open their doors to other people. They're also willing to take up cause to help other people as well. We also know that Wellington is a city that has both a settled and a transient population. A census in 2013 showed that 25% of the population actually in Wellington had moved to Wellington within the past 5 years. We also know it has a bit of a problem with space in some areas. Not everyone has a garage or a whole lot of storage space for where they can store tools or recreational equipment. And even if they did, then you still got to weigh up the cost of that equipment. Is it really worth the money long term as well?
So what does all this mean? Well, it means we're consuming more, and as a result, it means it's costing us more in our wallets. It's also costing the environment. The other fact is we're generally becoming more self-dependent and not really sort of being out there with the community quite as much as maybe we used to as well. So our solution to this is an app called Community Sharing. It's a place where you can go and lend and borrow equipment with others out there in your community.
So, first things first, we had 4 topics to discuss. Time, roles, project, conflict management, and planning. Time, we had to figure out what everyone's commitments were throughout the week and work around those hours. Roles, we had 4 roles that each one of us participated in, which were product manager, minister of EE, product owner, and Git master. Third one was conflict management. We found solutions that would solve conflict, whether it was project related or personal. And fourth is our planning process, and I'll pass you over to John.
Thanks, Pat. So from the outset, we decided that we were going to invest a lot of time in planning. Our decision for that was because in previous group projects that we'd done during the course, we'd all been very eager to get out there and get on the computer and get typing. And along the way, sometimes it trips you up because you're not too sure what everyone else is doing or what you're doing or what your actual goal is at the end of it. So we decided that on the first day, we were just going to sit down with a whiteboard, pencil and paper, and use our brains and figure out what we were going to do during the course of the project. We started off with just brainstorming what we thought the app should be able to do, and from there we moved on to writing user stories. And for those of you who don't know, a user story is how someone would use the app. So basically, log on, press a menu button, make a selection. That's a user story. So from there, we were able to decide on our MVP, which stands for minimum viable product, which is basically the least we want the application to do. And as you can see, there's a list there. But in case we managed to finish that, we also had a version 2 where we had some stretch goals. We then went on to look at the technologies we would use. Obviously, being a web app, we'd use things like HTML and CSS, things that the non-developers amongst you might not be so familiar with, libraries such as React and Redux on the client side, Express Server, and a Connect database. Hi.
Cool. And after planning, we added each task onto a sticky note, and all the sticky notes that are done were here in the backlog, and when they were in progress and we were working on them, we'd put them in the in progress column. If they were blocked, we'd put them below in the block column, and if we were finished with them and they were ready for review, we'd put them in the review column, where the Git master would then go and check it out and see if it's worth merging. And once that process was over, the sticky notes would move over into the done column. But as you all know, that we worked over the Easter weekend, and so we tried to keep EDA's schedule by having full cohort stand-ups at 9 AM and 5 PM. And we even had our own personal group check-ins every 2 hours or so to see how everyone's progress was going throughout the day.
So, yeah, just to summarise, we were very happy with that decision to put some time into planning. It gave us a very solid platform to carry the project through and basically minimise the amount of dramas that we had. And now we'll actually, the moment you've all been waiting for, we'll show you the app itself. Just to say that we took a mobile first approach, so basically the app is meant for a mobile, and then we will develop it later for a proper website. But as most people know, the vast majority of people actually browse the internet now on their mobile phone rather than a computer. Thanks, Dan. Oh, sorry, Pope.
Cool. So as you can see here, this is our homepage where you can access, borrow something or lend something. But in order to do this, you need to log in. We've already pre-registered our user, so entering your email and your password will redirect you to your dashboard. And you can also access your profile and all the details that you have registered with. You can also access your sharings, and you can hide and show your borrowed items and your listings. Here you can view more details about an item that you've listed for other people to borrow. And here you can see details about the owner of the item that you are borrowing. And below down here you can see more details about someone who is borrowing your item. So Cat Robbie wants to borrow your lawnmower.
Alright, so obviously an important part of our app is actually being able to lend an item so others can do that. So we've already got this pre-filled page just to save you the hassle of watching us type it out. But essentially, I'm John. I want to lend out my golf clubs to other people out there. So you can select from a category, pop in your description. We've got this little box here which allows us to upload our golf clubs photos. And there you can see under the My Listings tab, we've got our golf clubs. And you can see it there, it's a little bit of details that we can go and view. So to actually check that, hey, this has actually been sort of pushed into our database and available for others, we can look at our Browse Items page and we can go and do a search for golf clubs. And hey, there you go, you can see our golf clubs that we've just pushed out that other people could come and borrow. And so that obviously leads quite nicely onto our next part, is how do you actually go and borrow an item from someone else. So this is our dashboard again, and you can see my borrowed items. We've just got 2 items there, a kayak and a hovercraft. So we want to go and look at our borrow item page to see what else we can borrow. So this contains, as mentioned, a list of all the items that other people in the community have out there that you can go and borrow. Some interesting ones there, of course. And obviously it's quite a long list, so we've implemented a way in terms of the drop-down menu, being able to categorize it and quickly search through it. The other one, as you can see at the top there, is the search bar. So it's graduation tomorrow. John wants to have a party, and he wants the Mixmaster 5000. So we want to borrow this. So you can do a search, and Jeremy is the owner of the Mixmaster 5000, and we're not borrow off him. So we go and we tick little I agree to all those interesting terms and conditions, request it, and then you can see it'll pop up under our My Borrowed Items. So the next step, we want to actually contact him and get hold of him, and all his details are right there. So at this stage, we've implemented a way of just leaving the users to sort of talk to each other and be able to to build that community rapport with one another, and then obviously being able to organise the time to lend out the items. So that is a demo of our app in a nutshell. So now, John, we'll talk about technologies that we use to build this.
So we had a number of challenges along the way, but probably one of the biggest ones was to do with the images. As you can see, our site would be very image heavy. It would require a lot, and where we were hosting the app on Heroku, basically there wasn't the space to store all the images, so we had to find another solution. So after some investigation, we found a site called Cloudinary, which is basically a clouded image and video hosting site, which you can upload images to, and it gives you a URL, basically an address where you can access those images. So our next challenge was to actually fit that into our application, and for that I'll pass you over to Todd.
Yeah, so as John said, server side was one challenge. Client side was definitely, for me it felt like another kettle of fish. There was no documentation whatsoever for using Cloudinary with React JS. There was some however, for Node, which helped give us a little bit of a start. But then after doing some finding, searching on the net, we found on GitHub someone who had come up with a solution for actually implementing that into their app. So it required two modules. First one was React Drop Zone. So that allowed us to actually drag and drop images for eventually when we build it for a desktop sized website. But it also allowed us to click on a button which would open our photo library where we could select images on our phone to upload. The second was Super Agent, and that was used to handle all our server requests and responses. Next part with the file, basically we had to create, inside our React component, create an object where we could have properties for the uploaded file and where that file was going to get uploaded to. We had to create a function that was going to handle all the images when we selected them. And then that's our handle image upload. That's where we used Super Agents to basically handle those requests and responses. So here we've had to post in the upload URL address for where to send it on Cloudinary, give it a preset which allowed us to crop our photos in certain ways or color it in certain ways, put in the file, and then as long as there's no errors, it was going to upload to Cloudinary and send us back a URL address for where we could use it on our website.
All right, so you've seen our app. So we'd just like to share a couple of our sort of key successes that we all kind of agreed on that we felt were, well, sort of helped us make a really cool app. So the number one thing is being able to, well, at the beginning, we put aside the time to effectively plan and see exactly what we're going to do. As John mentioned before, we spent the whole day doing that, and we felt that really helped us throughout the whole sort of 7 days. As everyone had a clear idea of what we're actually building, where all the bits go, how it's going to look, and how it's going to function. You can kind of see down the bottom there, we've got like our wireframe and our actual product, and they're pretty close to what we originally envisioned as well. The other one was the willingness to actually catch up so often as well, and our effective communication. So if there was an issue, for John, for example, he was on our server side. If we were having an issue or something's not quite right, we go chat to him. Vice versa, if he was having an issue with something on our side. So that communication meant that we had a really smooth process. And again, back to that planning, we kind of had a good understanding of what should actually be happening. And because of that, we didn't really have too many issues. The final one was we were willing to explore new technologies. So as mentioned, Cloudinary was something we'd never sort of touched or played with before. But also incorporating that into React and Redux, especially Redux APIs, which we only sort of learned about a week ago as well, and that played a massive part in our project as well. So it was an awesome learning experience. But, yeah. Thank you.
So if you'd like to check out the app, the address is down at the bottom. So anyone feels the need. And any questions?
Is it hovercraft legit?
It's Misha.
Sorry, at the end there you just mentioned our side and their side. It sounded like kind of you were working client and server, and
Yeah.
Is that an accurate description?
Yeah. Well, so John basically looked after all of our database and server side of this project, and then the three of us sort of worked on the client side. All the, I guess, sort of the visible stuff. But obviously, because we had a database and our whole app is very database driven, we had to work really closely together to make sure everything synced up and we're getting all the right information as well. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, there weren't sort of too many issues around that. It
No,
went
I mean-
pretty smoothly.
I mean, that's where the planning, came to the fore, because, I didn't just go off and do my own thing on the server side, not talk to those UI people. We actually knew what we wanted, and obviously there needed to be some conversation and tidying up of loose ends, but yeah, on the whole, it worked well.
You had some really interesting roles there. I'd love to hear just like a couple of sentences from each person on what their role was, like what their title actually means.
We kind of had, I guess they were loosely associated to us, as we decided to give everyone a bit of a turn in all areas. So we had Gitmaster, which of course was handling all the pull requests, checking through that all the code was right and be able to be merged without too many conflicts. We had our person in charge of EE, who's just responsible for making sure that everyone's feeling good, checking in with everyone, seeing how they're doing, and in the case of any conflicts, dealing with that as well. The product owner basically had final say on what was going to happen, so if we couldn't come to a decision, product owner just put the foot down and we went forward with that just to help keep us moving. And the final role?
Project manager.
Project manager. Yeah, project manager basically just helped organise everyone.
Yeah, just made sure we were checking in regularly, and that the Kanban board was up to date and new tasks were being written down. Housekeeping stuff.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.